Hi, I'm Martin Felsen. I'm an architect and urban designer at Urban Lab in Chicago. This channel, CityDesign, explores how we shape cities and how cities in turn shape us. I believe our future depends on how well we design and redesign our cities and towns. Today, over half the world lives in a city. Some cities are growing fast, others are shrinking, but all cities face the same challenges, balancing things like affordable housing, jobs, transportation, and city life. Yet the public conversation around these issues is often disconnected from the physical design of cities. So who gets to shape our cities and how? Cities emerge from the actions of many people, designers, developers, planners, policymakers, and often everyday citizens with great ideas. We all share responsibility for deciding the fate of our cities and of ourselves. So with this channel, we'll explore how we might live together in better, more connected ways as we face a challenging future. Let's start right outside my front door. Just a few blocks away was once the heart of Chicago's Stockyards. For a time, the Stockyards were the largest industrial marketplace in the world. By the early 20th century, they fueled Chicago's explosive growth, but at a huge human cost. In the Jungle, Upton Sinclair's novel about the meatpacking industry, we see a fictionalized but painfully real portrait of immigrant labor in Chicago. Sinclair set out to shock Americans by exposing the brutal conditions of workers. The novel is mostly remembered for sparking food safety reforms, but its deeper message is about the human toll of building a city that functions like a machine. The Stockyards were a fully engineered environment, intensely efficient and relentlessly inhumane. Sinclair's characters live and work in a system designed to dominate nature and the natural resources it offers, which include us. These old photos are jarring because this place is a dystopian nightmare. Millions of people and animals were basically trapped and controlled, not just within, but by this mechanical reality. The key conflict in the jungle is not just personal, it's structural. It's about how cities can be designed and built to extract. Whether it's labor, natural resources, or time, industrial urbanism is built to take more than it gives. One term that economists have for this is creative destruction. The idea that growth requires disruption, even if it causes harm along the way. On one hand, the Stockyards were designed to work as an extractive ecosystem. On the other hand, the Stockyards were one of the first examples what we now call clustering, a group of complementary businesses working in tandem in one location. Factories next to one another turned animal byproducts into soap, leather, glue, fertilizer, even perfume and violin strings. The Stockyards weren't just a meat processing center, they were a complete urban system, a kind of matrix built around efficient labor, natural resources, machines, and logistics. In fact, the assembly line, made famous by Henry Ford, was first developed here. Workers and animals were funneled from elevated walkways straight into the mechanized production line. Today, cities compete to create new kinds of clusters. Think of Silicon Valley for tech, Detroit for cars, or perhaps today, Shenzhen for AI-powered devices. Even your own city may have a medical district or an arts district built on this same principle. Proximity stimulates productivity. But there was another unexpected outcome of the jungle. In 1906, Upton Sinclair used the profits from the jungle to start his own utopian community. This was a quiet, open, green environment completely different from the industrial stockyards. He called it the Helicon home colony. It was an experiment in shared living based on gender equality and collective property. Only artists, writers, musicians, academics, what he called creative types, were invited to live there. About 60 adults and children moved in. They raised kids together, ate together, shared ideas, and debated politics in the shared courtyard. In short, they tried to live in an alternative future. But living self-sufficiently in Utopia turns out to be hard work. This is a recurring theme we'll explore in this series. Utopias require much more labor than expected. In fact, living cooperatively in a community built from scratch is often more like living the life of a farmer. Long hours, lots of coordination and physical work, and very little leisure. Sinclair imagined technology might solve this. He dreamed of a push-button kitchen where machines would do all the work. But more than a century later, we're still waiting for the future we grow up watching on TV. Soon after Helicon opened, problems arose. Work wasn't shared equally, expectations clashed, and eventually traditional servants were hired, undermining the whole point of self-sufficiency. So just 6 months in, Helicon home burned down. Still, Sinclair often looked back nostalgically to say, "I've lived in the future." To Sinclair, Helicon was a prototype of a better world. But like many utopias, it struggled under the weight of its own ideals. The word utopia itself means no place, a vision always just out of reach. And yet, people keep trying. Throughout history, we've seen communities reimagining family, work, and the daily life. From ancient monastic settlements to 19th century cooperatives to the communes of the 60s and 70s. These aren't just odd experiments. They offered glimpses of what might be possible. CityDesign, this channel, will be my attempt to make many of these ideas visible and accessible. Even the most far-out urban dreams can influence how we shape the future. As Oscar Wilde wrote in 1891, a map of the world that does not include utopia is not worth even glancing at. So let's glance. In the next episodes, we'll look at some of the most fascinating utopian ideas, both built and unbuilt, and how they've helped shape the cities we live in today. Thanks for watching. If you're interested in cities, utopias, or just better ways to live, don't forget to like and subscribe.